Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the MBHB P2 Sport. This is a fitness tracker that actually has one of the more attractive designs I've seen out of generic versions that you can pick up on Amazon. Now, it retails for a bit more than the average for this category. It sells for around $41 on Amazon, but it comes in a number of different colors that you can customize it with. And as far as dimensions are concerned, very similar both in look and feel to the Xiaomi Amazfit Bip, which is currently one of my favorite smartwatches on a budget. So this is what the packaging is like, fairly simple. Everything is seemingly printed in Chinese. The fitness tracker itself has a 0.96-inch OLED display, which is touch sensitive, and also features heart rate tracking, so there's blood pressure measurements as well, in addition to sleep tracking. So all of those modern features are on board, in addition to steps, distance, calories burned. So it looks like there's also a spare screen protector included. One has been pre-applied, as you can see here. We'll take a closer look at the design of this tracker in a second. Underneath here, there's also the proprietary charging cable, which uses a magnetic pin system that snatches onto the back, and then you can plug it into any wall or onto a laptop to begin charging. There's also a quick user's guide that's documented both in Chinese and in English, and includes a QR code that you can scan to download the free companion app for iOS or Android. Now, it is actually using a generic app. It's called Wristband, and we've seen the app before for many low-cost Shenzhen or Chinese-based fitness trackers in the past, and it seems to work pretty well. It's now on the third generation of the app design, and it's fairly updated as far as how it works and functions. Pairing is pretty simple. We'll take a closer look at that in a moment. So if we take a look at the design of the P2 first, again, it does feel quite premium, and because it is around $40, and the average for a low-cost fitness tracker these days is probably closer to 20 or 30 bucks, they did try to make the overall feel and the hardware a bit more premium and high-end, so it definitely feels solid. As a size comparison, this is the aforementioned Xiaomi Amazfit Bip, and you can really see how the shape, in addition to the overall form factor, is comparable, both with the heart rate optical sensor located on the back and the magnetic charging pin. However, the P2 is actually a bit more heavy, so it feels a bit more solid in some cases. There is the charging pin, there is the glass that protects the optical sensor. The side here just features a crown key that's used to power the unit on, and to cycle through the various features, you can long hold on it to turn it completely on. And then here we have the display, which uses, again, OLED technology, which means that it's pretty bright and easy to read even in outdoor environments. Again, it's a touch-sensitive display that is fairly responsive and easy to access. It's a capacitive sensor. Otherwise, that's it. It's a very clean and elegant design. The band itself is actually not user replaceable or swappable, so make sure you pick the color that you want when you're ordering it, and it comes from the whole spectrum from orange all the way to pink if you want to have a different type of look. Now, the band itself is made out of a soft touch rubber material that seems fairly comfortable and adjustable as well. Basically the same as the Xiaomi version that we have here. It works with both men and women and seemed quite comfortable on a first impressions perspective when I was trying it out earlier. So overall, I think that the design is definitely elegant because of its rounded corners. It definitely seems like something that's much more expensive than the price would suggest. Interface also seems quite clean. So if we take a closer look at this, what we first have is the ability to take a just look at the time, and you can see it in a digital format from 12 to 24 hours. There's the battery and date. Next, we have number of steps. We have distance in kilometers, calories burned, heart rates per minute. You can see the monitor start to glow. Next is going to be blood pressure measurement, which uses the same heart rate sensor and then uses a software algorithm to give you a estimate of what the heart rate is. It's a pretty accurate conversion algorithm, but it's not using the same sensor you would find in an actual blood pressure tester offered by a doctor or in pharmacies. So it's not quite as accurate. It's more as a fashion device than a real medical grade device, but it's a nice functionality nonetheless. Finally, you can find your phone once it's been paired, so tapping on that will have your phone vibrate. Vice versa, you can use the app to locate the watch, and the watch will vibrate. So there is a pretty nice sensor on here that also gives you notifications in terms of vibrations if you want it to, and it can display things like WeChat, Twitter, and Facebook updates as they come along, in addition to missed calls and text messages. In terms of the accuracy of the heart rate sensor or the optical sensor, you can see it's actually continuous, so it's going to fluctuate and change as you are recording it. And you can see that the accuracy is actually pretty good. It's about the same that you find on the Xiaomi Amazfit Arc, which is a pretty good fitness tracker for the money. And and it's about 1 or 2 beats per minute off compared to different types of trackers that I tested it and compared it with. But in general, it seems to be a pretty good indicator of this. So accuracy level is actually pretty good. And the same thing goes with the blood pressure measurement. Since the heart rate sensor is actually quite accurate, the same thing can be said about the blood pressure. It's going to show you that in a pretty accurate way. And as long as you're in that mode, the screen is not going to time off. It's going to give you that continuous recording. Kind of useful, I guess, if you're doing a sports activity and you want to monitor that for a bit longer than just 1 second. The measurement takes about 15 seconds to complete, so it's not too slow either. You can manually access a heart rate measurement also through the app, and you can also set it up so that it pushes updates to the phone, maybe once every hour or once every 2 hours, depending on how often you want to use it. So again, this is the application. It's simply called H-Band 2.0. It's fairly clean and elegant. When you first turn it on, it's going to tell you to set up a profile, enter your height, so it can more calibrate your stride length and more precisely know if you're taking a step versus just accidentally flailing your hand around. And again, the sensors on here seem to be pretty good. There's a 3D accelerometer for detecting actual steps and actual motion versus a random movement of the arm. So if we kind of connect to the device, it's going to turn on Bluetooth. It's found the BLP2 from the top of the list. So on the top here, we just have number of steps out of a completed daily goal, for instance, 8,000 if I want to do that, number of hours slept, so in a very simple interface. For today, it's going to show me a graph layout in terms of how many steps I've taken throughout different periods of time. In addition, the same thing can be said about the sleep and the heart rate, in addition to blood pressure if I want to manually tweak those and access that content continuously. And then down below here, I can also access, again, the specific blood pressure measurement, and it's automatically going to start continuously pushing that data from the P2 that you can see I'm wearing right now. There are also wrist motions, so you can kind of flick it and the screen will turn on, and you can see that it's continuously measuring this. So it seems actually pretty accurate. As long as you're connected to Bluetooth, all this information is synced up without too much delay. Connection range is roughly 10 meters or 33 feet, and it uses Bluetooth version 4.2, so it remains fairly stable on both Android and with iOS when I did a quick testing earlier. I can also take a look at yesterday's history, 2 days ago, stuff like that. I can slide through to running, and that will allow me to start a timed lapse, or a timed activity where it will be continuously measuring my steps and heart rate a bit more precisely. And then under settings, I can also take a look at my profile, amount of battery that's left on the P2, my goal, and everything can be readjusted on here, and also third-party programs that you want to add for notifications, including things like Twitter, Facebook integration, so that it's going to vibrate whenever you get a new missed notification. You can quickly take a look at it. So all those things can be done. It's fairly simple and straightforward. Overall, though, it's definitely not the most advanced app in the world. It doesn't give you precise statistics and ways for you to recommend, to improve your activity and lifestyle. It's not going to say, oh, you missed your goal by 100 steps, or you slept too late into the night, and therefore you should sleep earlier, adjust things, so on and so forth. It's not going to actually precisely tune those things in an intelligent manner. However, it gives you a easy layout that you can take a look at your own data and then make adjustments as you see fit. The graph layout is fairly simple and easy to read, and again, for sleep, it's just going to tell you light versus deep sleep and how many hours total you've been sleeping through the night. So all those things, again, in terms of sensors, are actually pretty accurate, as expected here in 2017, as fitness trackers have had many years now to become much more developed and much more accurate. So if we talk a little bit about the battery life performance next, the P2 lasted me roughly a week before I needed to recharge it again, so it seems to be fairly decent as far as performance is concerned. You can turn off the wrist motion gesture, and that saves on battery a little bit more, and all in all, I would say that because it uses an OLED screen, it's also quite energy efficient, and that allows it to last just a tad longer. The design is very small, so it's not obtrusive at all. I really love how it fits comfortably, just like the Xiaomi Amazfit Bip, and I can go about with my daily actions and routines without even remembering it's there until I have a quick glance, and everything just performs as you would want it to. It's quite sensitive and easy to use, and fully recharging it takes under 2 hours, so it's pretty quick to recharge. Admittedly, the week-long battery life isn't quite as long as the Amazfit Bip's 45-day battery life, which is over a month, and this is really quite impressive. But you have to remember that this is even cheaper, coming in around $40 $60 versus 65 or $70. So this is still going to save you a bit of money if you don't need a ton of extras on board. It's a bit more simple, but if fitness tracking is your #1 goal, you want an attractive, small design that just works really well. And you, again, don't want to shell out too much, but also want something that feels a bit more premium than the standard kind of low-cost fitness tracker that you can find generically online. This is actually a pretty good option to take a closer look at. So thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been our video first look and a quick review of the MBHB Smart Sport Fitness Tracker.